Well, now it's a pleasure to introduce a next-door neighbor in Nairobi, Mr. Mohamed Sessay from the UNEP, who is chief of the GEF Biodiversity, Land Degradation, and Biosafety Unit and the portfolio manager for GEF at UNEP. Mohamed?
Thank you, Dennis. I think it's a long title, but in my brief talk, you see why I have a different perspective to this opportunity being presented to all of us as agencies. I think I'm going to take one step back. And they say in my tradition, every time you undertake a journey, you should be looking backwards how far you've come. I go back to the whole idea, I think, of the creation of GEF itself. In early days, you had 3 agencies, and we talked about comparative advantage. At that time, the bank, World Bank, was an investment. They had all the experience in managing big investments. And you had UNDP, which was involved with development at national level. And we in UNEP, more or less, was there at the start as the science institution to back up, to bring knowledge into the whole operations of GEF. And although we have moved on, we have had colleagues who have come along because life has gone on and we have seen how integrated the world has become, but still, we engage with the GEF based on that. And indeed, we've come a long way in UNEP, but again, if you look at what we do, our motto has always been that the environment should be at the service of sustainable development. And one of the big issues in the environment is agriculture itself, livelihoods. So in that sense, we have had experiences in the past of actually trying to understand better and then to contribute. And in the early days, I think we've had a series of portfolios that have looked at different aspects, land management in the dry lands, in the humid tropics, different things about managing pulps, servicing conventions, which is part of our responsibility anyway. So even the idea of obligations to conventions, we have this whole unit talking about, these days we have what we call a program of work thematic areas. We talk about environmental governance. So land degradation, CCD conventions, and all of these are part of that equation. In doing our work, of course, these days we have moved on, as I said, but we've come to this idea of new ways of looking at things. Take, for instance, our recent concepts of green economy. It's nice to look at the different aspects, but pulling these together at the national level so that it serves countries' development is one of the areas right now we're dealing. So we welcome this initiative. I'm not going to go into the different aspects of, but like I said, I just want to focus on some key issues which I want to highlight at this stage. I think the opportunity presented here is a culmination of the acceptance that agriculture is important on this continent and has different facets, and to solve this problem or to contribute, for it to contribute to development, we need to look at it with a fresh look. What do I mean? The idea of looking at different components is no longer that fanciful. So in some sense, a system approach is necessary. And an integrated look at it is important. And of course, for us, this speaks very well to our current way of doing things. Take, for instance, one of our key areas is looking at ecosystem management. And in that, we have issues like ecosystem-based adaptation, which looks at trying to pull the different strands so that we have a more holistic look at it. In doing so, we also respect some principles. Partnership is very important in the way we do things. And therefore, for us, this new approach of emphasizing partnership among agencies, and moving on to the second thing which I want to emphasize, innovation. We need to innovate. The challenges currently are no longer going to be enough to look at little aspects. I think we have enough. As I was saying to some colleagues, if you look at the collective experiences of the agencies, we've done a lot in the past. I think the challenge now is to step up the game to get this transformational change. What my colleague from the GF needed to emphasize was this money comes with some string to it. that we need to make the transformational change. It's not enough anymore to talk about small scales, replication here and there. We need to step up. And in doing that stepping up, we're going to have to rely on partnership among the agencies, find a new way of cooperating. Secondly, we have to revisit some key issues. And I think I'll say a little bit about that innovation. One of the, just
Not
listening
too
to-
much about that innovation.
Yeah, okay. Well, one of the issues that mentioned just now was, for instance, the new approach will require a fresh look at one issue, which is, to me, it's important, is tenure. We can talk about agricultural transformation, but one of the things we need to consider to innovate on is the tenure systems. I think we hardly mention this in our discourse. We can improve productivity, but this is where the sustainability is going to be. How much guarantee can we give to the small-scale producers as an incentive to innovate, the ownership? So I think that's an issue that we should factor into this new thinking of this new approach. That's one. The second aspect of innovation is that we're going to have to bring in different disciplines, different opportunities to be able to provide what I'll call the seed of sustainability. For instance, one of the big growth areas, I'm listening to Bashir's point about managing soil organic carbon. These days, that's the area also where we need to think and to innovate. How do we capitalize on the availability of funds in that area to benefit this resilience debate or this resilience work that we'll have to do? So those are two key areas I throw on the floor for extra thinking to be able to make sure that this program, when it's taken on and is implemented, will make the difference. I think I'll leave it at that. There's so much
Okay,
to do.
thank you.